Take a slow breath with me, in through the nose, hold, and out through the mouth. Again, just a little slower this time. Whatever room you're in, whatever noise surrounds you, let it recede for a moment, like the tide sliding softly from the shore. You came here because some part of you is searching for a sturdy place to stand. You want strength, not the brittle kind that snaps under pressure, but the quiet strength that bends and holds, the kind you can lean on when life feels heavy. You want calm that doesn't disappear when the calendar gets full, courage that doesn't run at the first sign of doubt, and wisdom that doesn't depend on having perfect circumstances. You want to feel solid in yourself. The ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, Seneca the statesman, Epictetus the former slave-turned-teacher didn't promise an escape from life's troubles. They offered something more daring, a way to meet life head-on with clarity and grace. Their practices were not designed for ivory towers. They were meant for the battlefield of ordinary days, missed trains, difficult people, complicated families, deadlines, illnesses, losses, and the long list of unknowns we face every morning. In this audiobook, I'll guide you through a living approach to Stoicism. We'll keep it human, grounded, and practical. We'll ask real questions. How do I keep from spinning when everything changes? How do I make good choices under stress? How do I deal with fear, anger, and disappointment without losing the best parts of myself? How do I become strong from the inside out? We will move through a simple arc. First, we'll build a foundation where inner strength actually comes from. Then we'll learn to sort what's in our control from what isn't. We'll practice shifting perspective, turning obstacles into teachers. We'll build daily disciplines for resilience. We'll explore emotions, what to do with them, not how to deny them. We'll step into relationships with more steadiness and kindness. And we'll anchor everything in purpose so that your strength serves something worthy. You won't need special equipment. You won't need a monastery. You'll need attention, honesty, and a willingness to practice. If you ever lose the thread, return to your breath and the simple question the Stoics loved: what is the next right thing I can do? Let's begin. Part 1. The ground of inner strength. When you picture strength, what comes to mind? A steel wall, a clenched jaw, a voice that never trembles. The Stoics would smile at those images, then gently set them aside. Inner strength is not a performance. It isn't hardening yourself until nothing gets in. It's learning to remain open and steady at the same time. It is pliable, like a well-rooted tree that sways with the wind rather than cracking against it. So where does this kind of strength come from? The Stoics point to 3 pillars. First, a clear mind that sees things as they are, not as our panic imagines them. Second, a disciplined will that acts according to virtue, courage, self-control, justice, and wisdom even when it's inconvenient. Third, a sense of belonging to something larger than your passing impulses, to your values, to your community, to nature itself. To make that less abstract, imagine this. The day begins with bad news. A plan falls apart. A fear comes true. Your old habit might be to grip tighter, to rush, to lash out, to drown in what-ifs. The Stoic approach starts differently. It starts with a pause, not because you're avoiding reality, but because you're facing it. The pause is a doorway. Inside it, you remember what's mine to manage here and what isn't. What story am I telling myself? What is the simplest, most honorable next step? Inner strength is not a special talent. It's a skill set. Ask yourself, can I learn to pause? Can I train my attention to return to what matters? Can I act by principle rather than by mood? The answer is yes, and the training begins with the simplest, most portable tool you have, your breath. Try this now. Sit as you are. Feel your feet on the floor. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Let your shoulders drop. On the exhale, do it again. You're not performing relaxation. You're reclaiming the steering wheel. The breath doesn't change the world around you. It changes the place you're responding from. That place, calm, alert, steady, is where inner strength begins. When Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself late at night, he didn't praise himself for being untouchable. He reminded himself to return again and again to what he could control: his judgments, his choices, his attention. He admitted when he fell short, and he tried again at dawn. That's our model: honest, modest, persistent. strength grows in the soil of daily practice. Part 2. The Dichotomy of Control, your first defense against chaos. If Stoicism had a doorway carved in stone, this sentence would be etched above it. Some things are in our control, others are not. Repeat it until it becomes a rhythm in your day, weather, the past, what others think. Outcomes after you've done your best, these are outside your command. Your thoughts, your choices, the care you bring to your actions, these are yours. It sounds obvious. In practice, it's revolutionary. How much of your energy goes into what you cannot bend? How much peace do you lose arguing with reality? The Stoics don't say, don't care. They say, care wisely. They say, aim your effort where effort makes a difference. They say, free yourself from fighting the tide, and you'll have the strength to swim. Epictetus knew this in his bones. He had so little power over the world's arrangements, yet his students emerged from his school sturdier and more free. His method was direct. Every time something stings, ask, what part is mine? Is it the event itself, or is it the judgment I've placed on it? Can I choose a wiser judgment? Can I take a better action? Let's put this into a day. Suppose a colleague criticizes your work in a tone that feels sharp. Old habits might be to defend, to stew, to plot your comeback. Stoic habit begins with sorting. You can't control the colleague's tone. You can control how you receive it, how you decide to respond, and what standard of professionalism you uphold. From that clarity, a new range of choices appears. You can ask for specifics, you can thank them for what's useful, and calmly request respect for next time. You can improve the work if the criticism has merit, and if not, you can let it pass without letting it poison your afternoon. You are not a puppet of other people's moods. Your strings are in your own hands. The dichotomy of control becomes a mantra, subtle, steadying, almost invisible to others, but life-changing inside you. You repeat it in traffic, at the doctor's office, when numbers on a screen rise and fall, when someone you love chooses poorly, when plans unravel. The mantra doesn't numb you. It narrows your focus to the part of the situation that is actually alive to your touch. And that is where strength grows, from choosing what's yours and releasing the rest with dignity. Here's a practice. In the morning, set an intention. Today, I will guard my energy by focusing on what I can control. During the day, catch yourself just once redirecting your attention from something you cannot command to something you can. At night, note it in a journal. Where did I reclaim my power? That small act is not small. It is a vote for the person you're becoming. Part 3. Seeing clearly, reframing, perspective, and the view from above. What you see depends on where you stand. The Stoics teach that suffering multiplies when we wrap events in unexamined interpretations. They ignored my message. Quickly becomes I am invisible, which slides into I am unworthy. A delay becomes a doom. A setback becomes a verdict on who you are. In this fog, inner strength has little room to breathe. Clarity begins with separating the event from the story. The event, the project was rejected. The story, I'll never succeed. The event, a friend canceled dinner. The story, they don't value me. The Stoic move is quiet, but bold. You say to yourself, this is the raw fact. What are 3 alternative interpretations that are also plausible? Which story serves my character? Which story helps me respond wisely? Sometimes the best move is the view from above. Picture yourself rising gently, as if lifted by a quiet wind. You see the room you're in, then the building, the neighborhood, the city, lights, the rivers and roads crossing each other like threads. You rise higher still until you see the curve of the earth and the thin blue halo of atmosphere. Down there is your problem, real, but small against the sweep of oceans and seasons, births and deaths, harvests and dawns. You are reminded, I am part of something immense. My life matters, yes, but it is not the axis on which the world spins. And strangely, that realization doesn't diminish you, it liberates you. Tiny dramas lose their tightness. You can return to your work with steadier hands. Seneca used exile to learn this. He lost position and comfort. He felt the sting, but in letters and reflections, he cultivated a broader vantage. He decided to treat circumstances like weather, something to respect, adapt to, and move within, rather than something that defines his worth. We can practice the same when plans fall apart. We can ask, what is this for? What can this teach if the door closes? Which window opens? This isn't naive positivity. It's disciplined interpretation, the art of refusing to make bad situations worse with stories that disempower you. Here's a practice you can try the next time anxiety rises. Write down the event in a sentence, short and factual. Then write 3 different lenses through which to view it. The lens of learning, the lens of patience, and the lens of service. Learning might say, I missed a detail, next time I'll build a checklist. Patience might say, this will matter less in a week. I'll take a walk and return later. Service might say, how can I make this easier for others involved? Read these lenses out loud. Feel the stress loosen its grip when perspective widens, strength returns, and when fear of loss knocks on your door. Experiment with a gentle form of negative visualization. Sit quietly and imagine life without a convenience you enjoy, without a small luxury, even without a plan you've grown attached to, not to torment yourself, but to unhook your happiness from fragile conditions. You will find gratitude wakes up and fear's volume turns down. You remember, I can live with less. I can adapt. I am sturdier than my comforts. Part 4. The discipline of action. Daily practices that build resilience. Clarity without action is a dry riverbed. The Stoics turned insights into routines, and routines into character. They didn't rely on willpower alone. They built environments and habits that made good choices the default. If you want inner strength, think like an engineer of your life. What small, repeatable practices will quietly make you formidable? Morning is the architect of the day. Begin before the world lays its hands on you. A short script serves well. You might sit for 5 minutes and preview the day, as Marcus did. Ask yourself, what will likely challenge me today? Who might be difficult? Where can I act with patience and courage? Picture these scenes and rehearse your response. Athletes visualize to perform. Why shouldn't we? Now, choose a single phrase and epithet for the day. It might be steady, or kind, or exact, or brave. Keep it simple. Put it on a sticky note. Make it your lock screen. Let it be the rhythm you return to when distractions pull. The point is not to be perfect, it's to remember who you intend to be. Build a thin protocols. If the meeting turns tense, then I'll slow my breathing and ask a clarifying question. If I catch myself procrastinating, then I'll set a 5-minute timer and begin. If I receive criticism, then I'll extract one improvement and thank the person. These small scripts sound mechanical until you're in the heat of the moment. Then they work like anchors. You don't have to invent virtue on the spot. You execute what you decided calmly in advance. At voluntary simplicity. Comfort is wonderful, but too much of it makes us fragile. Choose an occasional practice that reminds you of your capacity. Take a cold shower once a week. Walk rather than drive when you can. Skip a meal if your health allows. Sleep on the floor for a night on purpose. Read by dimmer light. These are not punishments. They are rehearsals for life's harsher rehearsals. When real adversity arrives, your body and mind already know, I can do hard things with dignity. Move your body. The Stoics were not opposed to the strength of limbs. They simply placed it in the service of the soul. A short workout multiplied by many days builds a quiet confidence that seeps into everything else. You keep a promise to yourself. You experience the arc from resistance to rhythm to reward. And you learn over and over that mood follows movement. The heavier your thoughts, the more your body wants to help you. Then comes evening, the second architect. Review the day without cruelty. What did I do well? Where did I stumble? What pattern am I noticing? What one adjustment will I make tomorrow? Keep this gentle but honest. It is not a trial. It is a gardener walking the rows, seeing what needs water, what needs pruning, what is about to bloom. Consistent evening reviews compound into character. When obstacles appear, as they do, convert them into training. The Stoics were masters of this. A delay becomes practice in patience. A difficult person becomes practiced in speaking truth without bitterness. A failed attempt becomes practice in persistence and humility. You're not forced into this framing, you choose it. And with practice, it becomes natural. The thing that once derailed you becomes the weight that made you stronger. Part 5. Working with emotion, from turbulence to intelligence. Stoicism is not the denial of emotion, it is the education of it. The Stoics didn't aim for numbness. They aimed for clear seeing and wise response. They understood that emotions are messengers, sometimes reliable, often not, and that we suffer when we blindly obey them. Inner strength means feeling fully while steering wisely. Begin by naming what you feel. I am angry. I am afraid. I am sad. Say it out loud if you can. Something shifts when we name our weather. The storm is no longer in the sky, it is a passing system. Then ask, what is this emotion telling me to protect or pursue? Anger often points to a boundary crossed. Fear often points to something valuable at risk. Sadness often points to love for what has changed or been lost. When you can see the care inside the feeling, you can respond with intelligence rather than reaction. Next, create distance between emotion and action. The Stoics recommended a simple delay. Before you send the message, take a walk. Before you reply to an insult, drink water. Before you decide to quit, sleep on it. Choose a ritual that buys you 10 minutes. That slice of time is a miracle. In it, your prefrontal cortex returns from exile. You remember who you are. Practice cognitive reframing on the feeling itself. Instead of I'm anxious, this is bad, try I'm energized, my body is preparing me to perform. Instead of I'm furious, they made me feel this, try I'm triggered, something important to me is involved, I can protect it without aggression. This is not pretending. It's choosing the most useful story the facts can carry. Feelings are powerful. Stories give them direction. What about grief? The Stoics neither mocked it nor tried to sprint through it. They honored love by letting loss be felt, and then, when the time was right, they reminded themselves that everything changes, that nothing we love was ever truly ours to possess. That gratitude is the other side of grief. When you can say, I'm grateful we had this, you begin to carry loss differently, not as a whole, but as a presence, soft and dignified. Finally, be careful with anger. It seduces by offering a sense of power while quietly stealing your freedom. Use it as an alarm, not a driver. If someone treats you unjustly, you can set boundaries with clarity. You can say no without shouting. You can withdraw your participation from harm without poisoning your own heart. A calm boundary is not a weakness. It's a sign you govern yourself. Here's a small exercise. The next time you feel a strong emotion, imagine you are sitting beside your younger self, perhaps 10 years old. You place a hand on their shoulder. You say, I see you. I'm here. We will act when we're ready. You are both the one who feels and the one who wisely guides. This is not fantasy. It is the mind learning to be a good guardian of itself. It is inner strength in action. Part 6. Strength in relationships, justice, compassion, and boundaries. We don't become strong just to stand alone on a mountain. We become strong to serve, to love, to contribute. Stoicism honors relationships through the virtue of justice, giving each person their due, treating others as fellow members of one human family. Strength softened by kindness becomes influence. Courage braided with humility becomes trustworthiness. Start with this reminder: everyone you meet is fighting a private battle. Marcus wrote to himself that people will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, and then he urged himself to remember that they act this way out of ignorance, out of confusion, out of their own pain. Does this excuse harm? No, but it prevents you from adding unnecessary bitterness to the harm already done. You can set clear limits while recognizing the shared humanity of those who frustrate you. In practice, this looks like slowing down when you're tempted to assume the worst. It looks like asking for clarification before you accuse. It looks like taking responsibility for your part, no more, no less. It looks like speaking truth without contempt. Imagine the dignity of saying, I respect our shared goal. I can't accept this tone. I'm happy to continue when we can speak to each other with respect. Imagine the steadiness of declining a gossip session without shame. Imagine the relief of refusing to carry stories that were never yours to lift. Boundaries are Stoic tools. They protect your time, attention, and energy so you can bring your best to the people and projects that deserve it. A boundary doesn't punish. It defines where you end and someone else begins. It might sound like, I'm not available after 8 p.m., I'll respond in the morning. Or I won't discuss this while insults are being thrown. Let's pause. Or silently. It might be leaving a room when your values are being compromised. You're not acting from anger. You're acting from self-respect. Generosity is also a Stoic tool, the kind of generosity that costs you resentment, the kind that gives what is wise to give, not what earns applause. Offer patience to the beginner. Offer mentorship when you have walked a road that others are just starting. Offer praise when someone grows. Offer second chances when they are safe to give. You're not a judge giving out sentences. You're a gardener encouraging growth. And then there's forgiveness, not the dramatic kind you post about, but the sober choice to stop carrying a coal that burns your own hand. Forgiveness doesn't say, "It didn't matter." It says, "I'm done letting this own me." Sometimes it comes slowly, sometimes in a breath. You'll know you're close when your body softens at the thought of the person. You'll know you've arrived when you can wish them clarity and growth without needing to be in the room. When it happens, in relationships, the Stoic question is simple. What does virtue require here? Courage might ask you to speak up. Temperance might ask you to hold your tongue. Justice might ask you to defend someone who can't defend themselves. Wisdom might ask you to wait. With practice, you'll feel which virtue calls your name and you'll answer without drama. Part 7, Purpose, Fate, and the Joy of Alignment. All this strength, what is it for? The Stoics spoke of living according to nature, not running into the woods to escape civilization, but aligning your life with the way reality actually works. Things change. People are imperfect, including you. The future isn't promised. There's a rhythm to everything, a season of growth, a season of harvest, a season of rest. When you align your expectations to this rhythm, you stop resenting life for being life. You start cooperating with it. Purpose emerges where your talents and your conscience meet the needs of the world around you. You don't have to save the whole earth. You have to serve where you stand. Ask yourself, what work makes me more honest, more alive, more useful? Where do my efforts make a real difference? What kind of person am I becoming as I pursue this path? If your answers lead you toward courage, fairness, and clarity, you're on track. The Stoics also loved a fierce idea, Amor Fati, love of fate. It doesn't mean you must like every event. It means you practice welcoming what happens as raw material for your growth. You take what you're given and make something good. You say, if this is what I have to work with, then this is where I become excellent. When a plan breaks, you do not break with it. You adjust, you mobilize. You look for the gift hidden in the ruin. The gift might simply be your own deepened character. That is no small thing. Consider a day when everything goes wrong. You wake late. The commute snarls. An email stings. You spill your drink. You forget a commitment. In the old script, this is a terrible day. In the Stoic script, it becomes a perfectly good day to practice patience, humility, repair, and humor. You laugh at yourself kindly. You apologize cleanly. You adapt. You stack small wins. By nightfall, you realize that the day did not defeat you, you transformed it. Purpose needs rituals. Decide what you stand for. Write it in a few lines. Revisit it monthly. Align your calendar to it every week. If you say family is a priority, let the calendar show it. If you say health matters, let the routine prove it. If you say integrity is non-negotiable, let your decisions under pressure confirm it. This is how purpose becomes real, not by feeling it, but by structuring your life around it. Finally, remember that joy is not a luxury in Stoicism. It's a sign you're living well. Joy in a morning breeze, in a friend's laugh, in work well done, in a problem solved, in an apology accepted, in a sunset nobody can buy. When you pause to notice these, you're practicing something radical. Contentment. You are not waiting for someday. You're alive on this day as it is, and that is a profound strength. Let's return to where we began. Take one slow breath. Feel the steadiness that even a single attentive breath can bring. Picture, for a moment, the person you're becoming through these practices, not a flawless statue, but a living human, with clear eyes and a warm heart. A person who pauses before they speak, who sorts what they can control from what they can't, who chooses worthy stories, who acts with discipline, who feels deeply without being carried away, who treats others with justice and care, who aims their life at something that matters. That person is not far from you. In fact, you have already been practicing being them. The world will still surprise you. People will still disappoint you at times. Plans will still tangle, but your stance will change. You will approach each scene with a steadier hand. You will forgive yourself faster and learn more quickly. You will waste less energy on battles no one can win. You will begin to trust yourself with your time, your choices, your words. That trust is the engine of inner strength. So what will you do next? Perhaps tonight you'll do a short review, 15 minutes with a notebook and an honest mind. Perhaps tomorrow morning you'll sit before your phone claims your attention and preview the day, choosing a one-word intention. Perhaps you'll build a small if-then script for the moment that usually trips you. Perhaps you'll practice the view from above when anxiety tightens your chest. Perhaps you'll try a little voluntary discomfort this week. Just to remind yourself of your range. Perhaps you'll set a boundary you've been avoiding or say a kind word you've been withholding. The Stoics didn't promise ease. They promised excellence. They believed you could meet the world as it is and still keep your soul intact. They believed that strength could be quiet and kind, that courage could be patient, that wisdom could be warm. They believed you could be equal to your life. And I believe that about you, not because I've seen your resume or your list of achievements, but because you are here now, listening, breathing, willing to practice. That is the mark of a person who will grow. When the day tests you, remember the doorway. Some things are in your control, others are not. Step through it with dignity when the story turns dark. Widen the frame when emotions flood. Name them and steer gently when obstacles arise. Turn them into training. When people fail you, set boundaries and keep your heart soft when purpose calls. Answer in your calendar. One last breath in, hold out. Carry this with you into the next hour, the next conversation, the next decision. Strength is not somewhere else. It is not later. It is here, being built in you, action by action, thought by thought, day by day. Walk forward with steady steps. Live by your principles. Treat the world as a place to practice. And when the sun sets, let your final thought be simple and brave. I used what I was given to become a little more human, a little more helpful, a little more whole. May your days be well lived. May your courage be quiet and real. May your wisdom be kind. And may the strength you build inside you steady not only your own life, but the lives of everyone lucky enough to stand in your light.